Welcome to You Are Your Name. My name's Daken Ariel. I'm your host, and I have Marlowe Shearing as a co-host. And we have a special guest today, Garett Hennigan, who works at the Kabalarian Philosophy's head office. Garett is involved in many aspects of the philosophy, particularly supporting the new students in the support classes on a weekly basis. Thanks for joining us, Garett.
It's great to be here, Daken and Marlowe.
So the episode today is relative to happiness and how it relates to our thinking and how that is impacted by the cycles that we're in. So we teach the mathematical principle of mind, which is that your name creates your mind. And we measure with that mathematical principle your inner potential. But there's another principle that we study, which is the cyclic law. And I wondered if you could just talk about how the cyclic law impacts our thinking and how that would then impact happiness.
Good question, Daken. So when we talk about the cyclic law, we're really talking about how when human mind measures time and distinguishes periods of time, that there are qualities attached to that time. And in the same way, when we have recognized an alphabet and we have the letters in a certain order, with time, the recognition of the 12-month calendar, the days in the months, the years, creates a mathematical quality, but not just a quality, but a quality of unfoldment. And if we step back and we look at the intelligence that expresses through just a basic, simple flower, we see it goes through various stages of intelligence expression through time. So it starts off as a seed, eventually germination, a little sprout above the ground, and then there's a root system developed, and then there's rapid growth, a little bud, eventually turning into a flower, and then there's a fruit or a seed pod, depending on the particular plant, and then that goes back into the ground, and this cycle of growth, fruition, back to seeding is an essential part of life. And we, in a sense, take it for granted. I mean, that's life. We see this power of growth. But what the Kabalarian philosophy teaches is that that same power of growth is really expressing through our lives, not just in our physical growth of our body, but through our mental efforts. And we measure the time of our birth through the calendar system, and we know that we're born on a certain day, month, and year. Discussed in previous episodes how that determines what our path in life is, our inner potential, which has to have a channel through our mind, which is created, again, when mathematics is applied to language and the alphabet and creates a name, which creates mental qualities that should be in harmony with that inner potential to express. So when we come to time, when we're born, we measure that day, month, and year, but the calendar all of a sudden doesn't disappear. We are on this sort of train of life, and there is an unfoldment of mental qualities through time. And that is a key component of the Kabalarian philosophy. And if we take a step back, if we think of a farmer, he knows this law of growth. You plant your wheat seeds in April, May, thereabouts. You take care of it through the summer. You get to late August, September, and then they go and they combine it and they put it into silos. They know there's definite times to start and definite times to, in a sense, do nothing, wait for the growth. And there's a time to pick that harvest and bring it and put it into the barn. Now, if the farmer's wife, they got together in, let's say, December, and they said, honey, we need some money. Why don't we plant right now in January? I know there's snow outside, but let's plant it now because we can't wait for September to get the money after we sell the grain. We're going to sell it in April, but we'll start it sooner. Now, we know that obviously is a flawed analysis, and the law of nature said if there's snow on the ground, that's not the time to start. If they put forth all that effort, dig out the plow, they can't even plow the ground because it's frozen. They would put the seeds on top of the snow. I mean, it's a futile effort. It's a disaster. All this wasted effort. And as well, there's the disappointment. Well, we've used all our seed and now it's April. We have nothing to show for it. We don't even have the seed to do it in the right time. All these opportunities are lost because of going against this natural law of growth. Well, that same pattern exists within the mental law, within the cyclic pattern of mental unfoldment. And that is a key component of the Kabalarian philosophy. So we explain that because of this calendar system that has become universally adopted, essentially, that there are qualities to time. And we go through a series of 9 cycle years, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year. And then it's a cycle that repeats, just like in the growth of a plant, but now it's relative to seeds of mental effort, seeds of projects started, seeds of mental discovery. And again, they take time to unfold. Just because a farmer planted the seed in April, 1 week later saying, hey, where's the wheat? I need it now. That's illogical. Well, in the same way, if we start certain efforts in a 1 cycle year, we have to wait for, depending on what the project is, perhaps 7 years to get the full fruition in our fruition cycles, which are the 7, 8, 9. So the 1, 2, and 3 are the seeding starting, 4, 5, and 6 are the growing testing, and the 7, 8, 9 is the fruition, realization, and completion of the cycle. And so those cycles exist on a yearly basis, monthly basis, daily basis, and even on an hourly basis for minor endeavors. So if we understand that cyclic law, we can prevent so much frustration and futile effort by putting our efforts in the right time. Just like that farmer who says, okay, April, this is the time that's to plant our wheat field. And he puts it there. He's patient. He works with this natural cycle of growth in plant life, and he gets his fruition in August, September, depending on what the crop is. So when we understand that cycle, we're able to put our efforts at the right time, and then there is a natural harmony. We're not going against nature and not missing opportunities because we started too early or started in a testing period or started too late. All those are important factors that will influence our mental happiness because we're not railing against nature. The farmer who plants in January is not going to be happy. He's going against that natural law. If we put forth effort at the wrong cyclic time, we will have frustration, missed opportunities because we're just at the wrong time.
One way to think about it is the difference between swimming upstream against the tide and actually swimming with the tide. So by working with the cycles, you're swimming with the tide of the natural activity for that time.
Yes, in a similar way, here on the coast here in Vancouver, there's many channels through the outlying islands, and because of the tide flooding and ebbing, you have lots of current going through these channels. Some of these channels, unless you have a super fast boat, you cannot go through in a little slow sailboat. You have to wait perhaps 6 hours for the tide to turn to be able to go through, to say, well, I want to go through now and go out there and sit there for 3 hours, perhaps even going backwards. No yachtsman would do that. They say, look, we'll just anchor, we'll wait, and then we'll go through at the right time. And this concept relative to cycles in terms of our personal human endeavors is a very different concept because the attitude of the world in general is, I want to do it now, I'm going to do it now. And it's almost like an ego thing that if I decide I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it now. It doesn't matter what this time thing is. And so that idea of patience, of knowing that, is a huge part of the Kabalarian philosophy because now this power of nature is with us. We're planting at the right time. And I should just take one step back and say, the cycles isn't like a horoscope, like, oh, you're going to have a great day, you're going to have a bad day, you're going to meet somebody important. It's not a fortune cookie type thing. It's just describing the power of nature through human mind that is there. And in the same way, just because the farmer knows that April is a good time to seed the crops, to seed his wheat field, the tractor doesn't drive itself. It doesn't plow the field on its own. He's got to drive the tractor. He's going to make these decisions. And the same thing at the fall, It doesn't just pop into the silo. He's got to go out there and do the work. So the cycles is basically describing the conditions of time and giving you an insight into what's the best activity to get the most of that time with your effort.
So the balance name is essential for that balanced mind then to use that energy of the cycles. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, you have to start with the balance name to harmonize our thinking with our inner potential. And then the next step of balancing our life is to understand the cycles and to put forth the right effort at the right time. There's some people that will say, well, I don't want to change my name. Yeah, there's weaknesses. I'll just follow the cycles. They will have some benefit from following the cycles, but that name is the driving force of their thinking. Unless that is harmonized through a balanced name, it's like saying, oh yeah, I want to go seed in the right period of time, but your tractor has flat tires. I mean, okay, yeah, you're going at the right time, but your basic vehicle has this weakness that you have to address. So the balance name comes first.
Does the cycles relate to health challenges?
Yes, in one way, the cyclic pattern, as it goes through it, we have different inclinations, different motivations, different feelings in those periods of time. And to the degree that our thinking is balanced, then those will be positive energies. So for example, let's take the 1 cycle year, which is a starting year for starting endeavors in whatever aspect of our life. There's a quality of initiating. All the positive qualities of 1, inventive, creative, are all there. Now, if the mind is still emotional, they might sense the qualities of being blunt, direct, self-centered. And if they respond through the weakness of their thinking to the vibration of the cycle, they may find themselves in a 1 year being blunt and egotistical, for example. Now, that's not the cycle's problem. That's the weakness of their thinking. But if they are very blunt and direct and ignoring people's opinion and being abrupt, that vibration, they've allowed it through their thinking, and that will affect their physical body in a relative way. So they may have eye tension or hearing problems because that's relative to the negative expression of the 1 quality. Health weaknesses can come out in a particular cycle because of the weaknesses in that person's nature, from perhaps their old name. It could be various different factors, but it's not so much the cycle's problem, it's the thinking problem that tends to show that weakness in that particular cycle. So I would just say, to summarize, is that the important thing is think more and feel less. And then in each cycle, there is a positive energy to draw from, and the negative qualities will not be that apparent.
So how would someone learn about cycles and be able to take advantage of them?
So to take advantage of them at a initial step, even in a name report, we do give people a 3-month sample cycle chart just to explain what the concept is, and they can test it out. Ultimately, a full year cycle chart, which goes from January to December. It's not birth date to birth date, it's calendar year, is the next step of putting it into action. And there's obviously 9 cycle charts. They're reusable because when you finish your 9 cycle year, surprise, surprise, you go into a 1 cycle year because it's a continuous flow of energy. So that is something that even as students of long standing, we still refer to that cycle chart for insights into the particular time, especially for planning into the future. It's very essential to know your cycle. It's not wake up in the morning and go, oh, gee, this is a good starting day. The cycle chart allows you to know that next Thursday is going to be a 1 cycle day, time to start things of a minor nature. You know that in 3 months from now, that's a good month for starting or for resting if you're planning a holiday. So it's a planning tool that spans days, months, and years, and also gives us a quality of reflection because we can look back at the previous cycle year and say, yeah, that's right. I was in a 2 cycle year and 2-cycle year, just as a matter of information, is more to merge with people, to work through people and with people to accomplish your goals. So there is a tendency, if we're not fully aware of where we're going, we may be overly influenced by people, and we just have to find out where that balance line is. So we may, in reflection, think, oh, well, yeah, I got a little influence there and I got taken away from where I wanted to go, that I started in a very individual way in that 1-cycle year. So the cycles can be used in many different ways. And ultimately, the study of the cyclic principle through one of the online courses, cycle management training, will allow you to get more in-depth understanding of what is happening through those months and years of each of the 9-cycle years.
So what is success for a Kabalarian student?
Success for a Kabalarian student is the unfoldment of our potential, which goes through many different phases. I heard a term, life stages. When we're in high school, there's one stage, and then you get your first job, and you maybe into a relationship, maybe you get married, maybe you have children. These are all different life phases that are part of the finite living we all go through, and they're essential at certain phases of our life. But ultimately, all through that entire lifetime, there has to be the concept of this unfoldment of our potential, which was a potential that was seeded into us when we took that first breath. And that was a universal potential that came from reason, from the source of life, became involved. And just like that plant, it has to unfold to fruition. And as human beings, it's not that we have apples growing off our head or anything like that, but it is these conscious realizations and merging with that quality of reason through the living of a harmonious life, living the positive qualities of the numbers from 1 to 9, the cycles, and ultimately giving an energy into life which makes each generation add something more that the next generation can build upon. And so that is a process that goes on our entire life. And ultimately, it's to merge back to that source that we all came from when we took that first breath.
Thank you, Garett. Really appreciate the broad perspective.
Thank you, Garett.
You're quite welcome, and I hope you all have a great day.
If you haven't already done so, consider getting a free name report from our website, kabalarians.com. That's KABALARIANS.com. You can also download 2 free quotes apps from either the Android or Apple Store. Just search for Kabalarian Philosophy. Until next time, happy thoughts. Whenever you're ready, here are 3 ways we can help you. Number 1, the Balanced Name Recommendation Service. Join the thousands of others who have harmonized their names with their inner potential to improve their health, happiness, and success. Number 2, learn the principles of mental freedom. Participate in our online training program to gain the essential tools to create all the progressive changes you seek in your life. These proven truths will open up new perspectives and accelerate your attainment of health, happiness, and success. Number 3, let Cyclic Solutions help you choose a balanced name for your business, because many business names are an impediment to one's overall business success.